Chicago Fire suffer major blow as Mbekezeli Mbokazi ruled out for remainder of 2026 MLS season. The Chicago Fire have suffered a major setback at a crucial point in the 2026 MLS campaign, with standout center back Mbekezeli Mbokazi ruled out for the remainder of the season after suffering a serious thigh injury. Chicago head coach Gregg Berhalter confirmed the news Thursday ahead of the Fire's Leagues Cup clash with Liga MX side Necaxa, revealing that the 20-year-old South Africa international will not return to the field during the remainder of the MLS regular season. Mbokazi sustained the injury after returning from the 2026 FIFA World Cup, where he played an important role in one of the most historic campaigns in South African football history. The young defender played every minute of Bafana Bafana's World Cup campaign as South Africa reached the knockout stages for the first time in the nation's history. For Chicago, however, his absence represents a significant defensive problem. MBO being out for the year is a tough one, Berhalter said during his pre-match comments to Apple TV. It's really about the next person stepping up and being a team that's hard to score on, closing the spaces, being compact. Berhalter also emphasized that Chicago have already begun working on solutions to compensate for the loss of one of their most important defenders. "We're working on that now, and I think today you're going to see that," the Fire coach added. A breakout first MLS season. Mbokazi's injury is particularly frustrating because the 20-year-old had emerged as one of the biggest revelations of Chicago's 2026 season. The Fire acquired Mbokazi from South African Premiership club Orlando Pirates in December, bringing the highly regarded defender to MLS as one of the club's major young additions. Rather than needing a long adjustment period, Mbokazi immediately established himself as a regular starter. He started all 12 of his MLS regular season appearances before the injury, demonstrating a level of consistency and maturity that made him one of the most important pieces of Chicago's defensive structure. His performances quickly attracted attention from supporters around the league. Mbokazi ultimately received the most fan votes among defenders for the 2026 MLS All-Star Game presented by Chime. That achievement highlighted just how quickly his reputation had grown. Unfortunately, the injury prevented him from participating in the All-Star festivities. Now, instead of preparing for the final stretch of Chicago's playoff push, Mbokazi faces a lengthy recovery and will have to watch the remainder of the campaign from the sidelines. Historic World Cup campaign with South Africa. Mbokazi's 2026 season became even more remarkable because of his involvement with South Africa at the World Cup. The young center back was selected for Bafana Bafana squad and became a key member of the team's defense during the tournament. He played every minute of South Africa's World Cup campaign, helping the country reach the knockout stages for the first time. South Africa's achievement was particularly significant given that the nation had not appeared at a World Cup since hosting the tournament in 2010. For Mbokazi, it was an extraordinary introduction to international football at the highest level. At only 20 years old, he went from making his mark in MLS to competing against some of the world's best players on football's biggest stage. His performances in the tournament further enhanced his reputation as one of South Africa's most promising young defenders. But shortly after returning to Chicago, the Fire received the devastating news that their young star would be unavailable for the rest of the MLS season. Chicago must find a solution. The timing of Mbokazi's injury could hardly be worse for the Fire. Chicago currently sit fourth in the Eastern Conference with 29 points and are attempting to qualify for the Audi MLS Cup Playoffs for the second consecutive season under Berhalter. With the postseason race becoming increasingly competitive, losing a starting center back at this stage of the campaign could have a major impact. Mbokazi's absence means Berhalter will need other defenders to take on larger roles. The Fire's immediate challenge will be maintaining the defensive organization that has helped them remain in playoff position. Berhalter's comments suggest that Chicago's response will not simply be about replacing Mbokazi individually. Instead, the coaching staff wants the entire defensive unit to become more compact and difficult to break down.